Hi everyone, this is Karen Smiley. Welcome to Agile Analytics and Beyond on Substack. I'm experimenting with adding audio voiceover like this on my articles. This one is me, not AI. Let me know if you find it useful or if you have any suggestions for improving it. Inconvenient Principles. No unfairly trained AI images. Why I don't use generative AI for creating images or audio, video for my other publications and other work, and what has to happen before I will. I went on the record recently about why I don't use generative AI for helping me write, and why I don't ever expect to change that position. This post is about why I don't currently use generative AI for non-written content to complement my writing, e.g. images, audio, video, and how and why that could change in the future. The trigger. Late Wednesday night, I saw a post on LinkedIn by Axel Koster about Casey Newton's experience with pushback from potential scribers about his use of generative AI for images. There's a video link in the article. Casey's success with Platformer is impressive, and I certainly appreciate that people can have genuine intentions with using Gen AI tools to generate artwork for a newsletter. His has moved off Substack, unfortunately. I'm definitely not an artist myself either, and I found that it takes a lot of my writing time to find suitable, affordable, or free images for my newsletter posts, since I'm operating on a shoestring at present while getting started here on Substack. However, I align with the people who shared feedback with him that they refused to subscribe to a publication using AI-generated imagery based on objections that the tools don't respect artists' copyright and ownership. If I can avoid it, and it's likely a bigger if than even I realize, I will not be a willing participant, even if indirectly, in an exploitative Gen AI tool ecosystem. And at this point, the vast majority of Gen AI tools aren't using ethically sourced images or content for training their models, i.e. they are exploitative. Being a non-participant. By participant in a Gen AI tool ecosystem, I mean being a tool user, working for or with a tool provider developing the tool, or engaging or even paying for content from someone who used the tool. All of these are choices I can control and can make, provided there's transparency about whether a Gen AI tool was used to create content, whether the tool used is fairly trained, etc. In short, transparency about whether the content was generated ethically or exploitatively. I'd also rather not be a participant as a contributor whose works or characteristics are exploited against their will. Even though I don't think of myself as an artist, I certainly don't want my photographs, writing, speaking, or singing voice, appearance, etc. to be stolen and used without my consent. Others may feel differently about their work and characteristics. That's their prerogative. Unfortunately, in our present ecosystem, whether or not my work or personal characteristics get scraped or stolen and then exploited is not a choice I as a mere individual get to make. That's sad. So I am focusing on choices I can control. My reasons why. 3 principles underpin my refusal to engage with exploitative Gen AI tools. 1. The golden rule. Since I wouldn't want my creations and personal characteristics to be exploited this way, how could I possibly ethically justify being complicit in the exploitation of others, i.e. by using these tools, helping to develop them, or supporting creators who use them? 2. Pro-choice view. Even if I were okay with my work being ripped off without consent or compensation, and I'm not, I still would have no right to make that choice for others. Only they should decide about use of their work. This pro-choice view was advocated in our Part 2 article on ethics of generative AI for music. As a believer in pro-choice, ethical behavior requires me not to directly or indirectly encourage toolmakers to deprive people of that choice, i.e., I should not use, support, or help build tools that deprive them. Principle 3, legal versus ethical. Laws vary worldwide and over time, and some people might say that this type of theft and exploitation isn't illegal in their region. However, In our global economy, it's highly likely the content scraped and used to train Gen AI models came from regions other than our own. If some of the base creative works used in training the model and building the tool were stolen from people in other regions with different laws, the fact that it's legal to steal in your region is irrelevant. Second, I don't actually care if it's legal or not. Even if it's legal to scrape and exploit, my moral compass tells me it's still unethical. Unethical behavior shouldn't have to also be illegal for me to not do it. Is it inconvenient to not use cool new tools to create images to enhance my work and save me time? Oh, absolutely. It costs me hours. And even then, I don't always find great free images that fit my needs well. But, quote, principles only mean something when you stick to them when it's inconvenient, unquote. That's Lane Hansen in The Contender. And these are my principles. Current state. To me, living with integrity requires me to stick to these principles despite the cost. I'm resigned to the inconvenience of continuing to either use my own works or spend the time to find verifiably free or public domain works. In the meantime, I'll carry on with my quest to find fairly trained Gen AI tools that I can feel good about using. Findings will be published on 6Ps and AI Pods along with our other deep dives on AI. And although I might miss detecting some, I do intend to try to avoid or minimize supporting people, publications, companies, etc. who develop unfairly trained tools or who generate content with unfairly trained tools. This is where transparency, covered in more depth in a linked article, would come in super handy. As I advocated last week, I believe every content creator should have an AI usage policy. That page is my AI usage policy plus explanations on why. An AI usage policy can be simple. Just say what you do and don't do with AI, and do or don't do what you say you will or won't. Then link or embed the policy on an About page or an ethics page for those who have one, or in one's bio. If you're hesitant to post an AI usage policy publicly, please consider. If you're not ashamed of using possibly unfairly trained AI tools, why would you not be transparent about it? And if you are ashamed, shouldn't that shame be a trigger for reconsidering using the tools or choosing different ethically developed tools? Please comment or DM me if chatting would be of help. Looking ahead, so what would have to happen for me to switch to being an active and willing Gen AI tool participant in future? Ultimately, I'm looking forward to the day when all, 1, artists and content creators can freely choose how, when, and where their works are used to train Gen AI tools and are compensated appropriately. 2, Gen AI tool providers are transparent about the source of their training data and whether their tools are fairly trained. Provide traceability, support consent and compensation for content creators, and enable tool users to give informed consent when they choose to use the tool. And 3, sites and content producers produce clear AI usage policies and transparently label their works that have AI-generated content. I realize I might not live to see that day, or it may never come, but a girl can dream. And my experience is that changing it all starts with awareness. To quote Maya Angelou, I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better. I've learned a lot about this whole aspect of ethics in the past 12 to 18 months. I'm more aware and can now ask better questions about ethical sourcing of the underlying training data, and have gotten to know many people who are doing their best and trying to know better and helping others to know and do better. That's how we'll get there, by learning and caring and helping each other. To quote Dr. Seuss from the Lorax, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. It's great that Casey took the feedback from potential platform or subscribers seriously. I commend them all collectively for caring and speaking up about use of unfair AI tools. This is how things change. I do hope to live long enough to at least see meaningful progress in all 3 of these goals, and a healthy ecosystem that includes at least a few ethical Gen AI tools for each artifact type, including multimodal tools. I'll eagerly jump to try out the fairly trained Gen AI tools I do find, hoping this will happen sooner than later. And now I'm off to find a suitable public domain or royalty-free image to use for this post. Thanks for listening.